The Singing Princess. Chapter 1. Princess Melody loved to sing. Singing is my whole life, she would say. That is why her servants were too afraid to tell her the truth. Princess Melody was the worst singer in the world. Her high notes sounded like cats wailing. Her low notes sounded like cows burping. All of Princess Melody's servants wore earplugs, so they couldn't hear the princess sing. They were such big earplugs that they couldn't hear anybody, so nobody spoke to anyone else, and life at the palace was dull. Until one day, Prince Lancelot came riding through the land. He heard the dreadful screeching from behind the palace wall. It sounds like a terrible monster, he cried. The dreadful screeching grew louder and louder and louder. Screech. Now, Prince Lancelot had never been much of a hero in his own land. Some people even said he still took his teddy bear to bed with him. This was his big chance to be a hero. He took a deep breath and leaped over the palace wall. He landed with a crash in the palace garden. Then he saw the princess crash. Princess Melody stopped right in the middle of her highest note ever. She glared at the prince. Don't be scared, Prince Lancelot cried. I have come to save you. The prince waved his sword in the air. Save me from what? Asked the princess. The terrible monster. I heard it screeching. Princess Melody had been busy saying she hadn't heard any terrible monsters, but she helped Prince Lancelot look for a monster just in case. They peered and poked between bushes and trees. I think it's gone, said the prince at last. You must have scared it away, the princess said. She smiled. You look a little pale. Why don't you come in and have some cake? The servants were very excited. Princess Melody had never invited a prince to visit before. The prince and princess chatted happily. They swapped stories about frogs and peas and ugly sisters. Until Princess Melody asked, Do you like singing? Prince Lancelot nodded. I'm dancing, she told her. Then suddenly he looked sad. But no one ever wants to dance with me. I know, said Princess Melody. I'll sing and you dance. Then we will both be happy. Her servants ran up to her and begged her to change her mind. But they were too late. Chapter 2. Princess Melody began to sing. Prince Lancelot began to dance. Everyone else ran away. It was an awful moment. The prince realized there had been no terrible monster in the garden. Screech! And the prince realized why no one would ever dance with Prince Lancelot. He was dreadful. He bumped into tables. He bounced onto the walls. He even trod on his own toes. Stop! Shouted the princess. Stop! Shouted the prince. You dance like a three-legged hippopotamus on roller skates, cried Princess Melody. And you sing like a trumpeting elephant with toothache, cried Prince Lancelot. They both glared at each other until Princess Melody began laughing. She had a spluttery, sparkly sort of laugh. The sort of laugh that made her face go pink. The sort of laugh that made her eyes shine like happy stars. Prince Lancelot was still angry. He looked away. He made his face into a grumpy shape. But slowly, a bumbly, rumbly noise began to wobble inside him. The bumbly, rumbly noise got bigger and bigger until... Ho ho! Ha ha! Prince Lancelot was laughing too. Prince Lancelot had a booming, bouncing sort of laugh. The sort of laugh that buzzes through all your fingers and toes. The sort of laugh that makes you want to hug the whole world. The prince boomed and bounced. The princess fluttered and sparkled. Then the princess boomed and bounced, and the prince fluttered and sparkled, until slowly the servants crept back in. They started to smile. They started to sniggle. The servants began to splutter and sparkle. The servants began to boom and bounce. Soon the whole palace was booming and sparkling and bouncing and spluttering. Until, "How long have you been singing those dreadful songs?" asked the prince. "All my life," said the princess. "How long have you been doing those dreadful dances?" "All my life," said the prince. Princess Melody looked sad. "I've been making a king-size fool of myself," she said, "and you've been the only person brave enough to tell me." Prince Lancelot blushed brighter than tomato ketchup. "I've been making a regular palace clown of myself," he said, "and you're being the only person brave enough to tell me." "We must be made for each other," the princess said. "I think you should marry me, as long as you promise never to sing again," said the prince. "And as long as you promise to give up dancing," said the princess. The prince and princess were married, and they both lived happily ever after, until Prince Lancelot took up roller skating, and Princess Melody got a trumpet for her birthday.